Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, since it is the last day of the year, I want to do a little look back onto what I think are the best 5 guns that came out in the year 2020. Not a lot of great things happened in 2020, but there were some really good guns that came out. So let's look back on what I consider to be the top 5 new guns of 2020. Now at number 5, we have the M&P 9 Shield EZ. Now, I'm not a fan of polymer guns, and I'm especially not a fan of the Shield series. Really not a big fan at all of it. But I have to admit that the Shield EZ was a great addition to the firearms market because it was a little different than everything else out there. Not only is it kind of a unique looking gun, but it's also an easy to use gun. This gun is so easy to rack. It's designed around people who need a gun that's easy to manipulate, and they really achieved their goal with this gun because, I mean, it can be racked by anybody, from your biggest soy boy in your neighborhood to the most militant grandmother can rack this slide with ease and operate this gun, and it handles recoil amazingly well. So at number 5 for the year 2020 is the Shield M&P 9 EZ, the M&P 9 Shield EZ. All right, now let's move on to something a little bit different at number 4. At number 4, we have the Ruger 5.7. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is a practical gun. I'm not even going to say this is a gun that I particularly want. I'm not even going to say the 5.7 round is particularly great. But that round has been around for a while, and a lot of people have wanted it, but it's only been available pretty much in an FN 5.7, a gun that a lot of people either couldn't afford or just didn't like the plasticky design of. And now they have another option, a more traditional designed gun from Ruger, who's really well known for remaking guns from other companies and making them better. So I looked forward to this gun, and it didn't disappoint. Everybody I know that has one loves this gun. It is, like I said, not the most practical gun, but it's kind of a unique gun because the only other competition it has is the FN 5.7. And like I said, that's quite a bit pricier. So with the addition of this gun to the market, you took something that before was kind of like an elitist gun. And I was not using that word in a negative way. I'm just saying it was a gun that a lot of people either didn't want or couldn't get. They just couldn't afford it. And now it's made it achievable for a lot more people to have a gun in this caliber. And for those of you that wanted it, you can now have it. And plus, like I said, this 5.7 round makes a great zombie round. So the Ruger 5.7 is a great zombie gun. So I want to just point out that even though it's not something I love, and I'm not a big fan of polymer guns, and I'm not a big fan of the 5.7 round, I still think that this gun was a very important addition to the firearms market, and that's why it's number 4 on this list. All right, I want to move on now to what I think was one of the best 1911s to come out this year, and there were a lot of 1911s that came out, but a lot of them are kind of pricey. And, you know, the more you spend, sometimes the less you get. Not less than what you would get if you spent less, but you can start getting less for your money. You know, the law of diminishing returns. And as much as it pains me to say, there was one 1911 that came out this year that I thought just kind of hit the sweet spot in everything. Caliber, design, and price. And that is the Springfield Armory Ronin in 10mm. As much as I hate to say it, Springfield Armory really hit the ball out of the park with this one. This is a beautiful 1911. It's a functional 1911. It's a sturdy 1911. And it's in a superior round to the 45 AARP. It's in 10mm. And it's under $900, well under $900. Most nice 1911s that came out in the year 2020 really surpassed that $1,000 mark, $1,500 mark, $2,000 mark even. But this one, they managed to keep it under $900 and put forward a top-notch 10mm 1911. And as much as I hate the company, I can't deny the fact that they did that. So at number 3 on this list is the Springfield Armory Ronin 10mm 1911. All right, the next gun that I think is one of the best guns of 2020 is actually a gun of yesteryear. It's a gun that brought the past back to the present. It's a kind of a back to the future type of gun situation here. And it's a gun that a lot of people wanted. A lot of people have always considered it their holy grail of revolvers. And that should tell everybody what it is. It is the Colt Python. Much like the Ruger 5.7 made that caliber available to people, this gun brings a classic back so that people that have pined for them for years can now own one at a reasonable price. Colt firearms had gone through the roof as far as resale on the secondary market because they weren't around anymore. So now that they're out again, it allows so many people to realize their dream of owning a Colt Python. And, you know, especially with Walking Dead around, since Walking Dead came out, how many even younger generation of people who never had even seen a Colt Python wanted one, but couldn't get one? Well, now they can. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, they're nowhere near the old ones. Well, you know, I own the old one, and I've had experience with the new ones, and the new ones are actually better than the old ones. They're a little more usable, a little more rugged. The old ones were a little more delicate. You didn't want to use them all the time. These ones are great. They're every bit as good as the old ones. They look as good as the old ones, but you can get a little more use out of them. They're now more for everyday use, and they're still a great gun. And now people can actually have a Colt Python in their holster without having to take out a second mortgage on their home. So at number 2 on this list is the new Colt Python. All right, now we're to the new number 1 gun on the list this year, the new guns that came out, and this is actually a series of guns. And it's a new series of guns that I have always loved its predecessor, still do love its predecessor, but the number 1 new series of guns to come out in 2020, the one I think made the biggest impact, is the new Beretta 92X series. The new 92X series of guns is so game-changing and so important to me because it takes all the good features of several different models of Beretta and combines them in one gun. It used to be, if you wanted a Vertec grip, you had to find a specific model of gun. If you wanted a rail, you had to find a specific model of gun. If you wanted a rail with removable front sights, well, good luck. You had to find a very specific model of gun. Well, this gun brings all those features together. It also brings together the G type that you used to have to find a very specific type of gun to have a G model gun. Well, now you can have G models again. Like I said, this brings Vertec grips, front rails, removable front sights, G types, all those things that you used to have to sift through different variants for. It takes them and puts them all together in one gun. So now when anyone asks me, well, which gun should I get? The FS, the M9A3? My answer is usually, go ahead and look at the 92X series. I think you'll find it has everything you want. And even if you don't like the Vertec style grip, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but it comes with grips that turn it back into a normal Beretta style grip. So it is the best of all worlds of Beretta. It's like I said, they took the best features of all their guns, put it in one, so now people don't have to worry, oh, do I need a Centurion? Do I need a Brigadier? Do I need a this or a that or an A1 or whatever? You can just say, I'll get the 92X, and it has pretty much everything. And that's why I think it is the number 1 gun released in the year 2020, the Beretta 92X series pistols. All right, now that that's done, I do want to add one more gun to the list today. Now, it's not the best of 2020. It's just the best gun I personally bought in 2020. Now, this is a gun that I picked up pretty early on in the year, and since then, it's actually become my carry gun most days, even though it's 9mm. And it is the Beretta 92 Elite LTT. Yep, you got it. It is the Langdon Tactical Custom Beretta that's put out by Langdon Tactical Technologies. It is an awesome gun. I have 17, 18 Berettas at least, and it is my favorite Beretta. It's not the most expensive Beretta I've ever bought, but it's definitely my favorite. I have all the Wilson Combat Berettas. I love them. but the LTT holds a special place because not only is it an awesome gun, but it's an awesome carry gun. And that's what I've always looked at the Beretta 92 series as, a gun that means business, but can also be beautiful too. And often they get to be where they're so beautiful you don't want to use them, or they're a little plain looking if they're for use, or a little too tactical looking. This gun kind of hits that sweet spot where it's an amazing looking gun, and it lends itself very much to looking like a Samurai Edge if you're a Resident Evil fan. And also, it's still rugged and usable, while it still looks great. So that's the best gun I bought in 2020, my favorite gun of 2020. It is the Beretta 92 Elite LTT from Langdon Tactical. All right, now that we've talked about what I consider to be the best of 2020 as far as guns are concerned, I want to take a moment to talk about something a little more serious, since this is the last day of the year and this is part of the holiday season. And we are suffering from a lot of problems caused by COVID, a lot of circumstances that people don't usually face. And there's one problem that's been around for a long time, and I think it's being exacerbated by this, and that is depression, especially with our veterans. Depression is something that is crippling this time of year for a lot of people. It's not just the holidays, it's not just COVID, it's also the seasons. You know, days are getting short, there's less sunlight, it rains all the time, or it's cold, people are stuck inside even if they weren't quarantined. It's just kind of a depressing time of year. And a lot of people have a lot of other factors in their life, and when you add them all together, it just becomes a little too much for them. And I know everyone out there wants to be the person who steps up and saves every person who's suffering from depression. But I want to remind everyone that that's not what you need to do. You don't have to save everybody from depression. You don't have to try to cure someone's condition if they're depressed. Often that's impossible. There's a lot of different reasons people can be depressed. Sometimes it's circumstantial. It's the elements of their life at this time that are transitory that they see as permanent. They don't see any way out of this. And that's very depressing. And then there's people that actually have imbalances. You know, they have psychological, physiological, even physical issues that make them more susceptible to depression. Everything can be wonderful around them, but their body just doesn't react to it like you and I would. So there's lots of different reasons people can be depressed. But like I said, you're not going to cure them. And you're not going to save them either. You don't have to be able to think of the perfect thing to say to try to make them feel better, because there is no perfect thing to say, and you're probably not going to be able to just completely brush their depression away. All you can do is listen and be present. Acknowledge the factors that are making them feel the way they feel. Don't try to belittle them. Don't try to say, oh, don't be depressed about this. You've got no reason to be depressed. This is blah, 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 or this is temporary, or you're just looking at this wrong, or you've got everything going good for you. Because all you're doing then is belittling their feelings. You're making them feel like there's something wrong with them because no normal person would feel the way they feel. Just acknowledge the way they feel and why they feel that way. And understand. Say, I understand. Even if you don't fully understand, just be there. And act like you're someone who's listening, who's understanding, and, kind of hint that, tomorrow's always going to be a better day. If today is really bad, well, there's hope that tomorrow will be brighter. Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes people are depressed because they're lonely. They feel isolated. Even if they live in a house with 8 relatives, sometimes they can feel very isolated because one factor in their life or another. And just knowing that maybe they're not alone, that there's a neighbor or a best friend or even a brother, sister, mother, father who come to them and say, you know what, no matter how you feel, no matter what you do, you've still got us. We're going to be here. We're going to help. No matter what you face, we're going to face it with you. That's some of the best things you can do for someone that's suffering from depression, especially veterans. because veterans have that added layer of circumstances on top of what everyone else is facing, such as PTSD, etc. Being part of a unit that was, family, that you fought for the person next to you and they fought for you, to being thrust back into society where no one cares about anyone. Everyone's on their own. So they face a lot of trials and tribulations a lot of people don't even face. But at the core, it's still the same issue. They mostly need to be validated, they need to be heard, and they need to be supported. Don't treat them like they're sick. Don't treat them like they're crazy. Just treat them like they need somebody to help them. They need someone to be there. That's all they really need usually. Now, if someone has severe issues, psychoses, etc., well, of course, they need therapy, they need treatment, they may need medication. But if it's conditional, if it's circumstantial, just someone being there can make all the difference. So that's what I'm asking for people out there today. If you want to help out people that are suffering, you don't have to be a hero. Don't even try to be a hero. Don't try to be a psychologist. Don't try to work out their problems for them. Just be present. Be a friend. Be a compatriot. Be someone who is there for them for whatever it is. If it's just a telephone call, getting online and talking in a chat room, on like one of our live chats we do every night, something like that, introducing them to some way to be around people, to understand that the world is still turning and that there's people out there that are just like them and that enjoy the same things they enjoy, etc. So like I said, this time of year when depression is so bad, especially among our veterans, everybody please don't try to be a hero. Just be a friend. All right, that's going to end us today with our New Year's Eve show, which is actually our New Year's Day show because this will be posted on New Year's Day. But when I'm filming this, it's New Year's Eve. So happy New Year's Eve, everybody. A little late. It doesn't always turn 12 everywhere at the same time anyway. So what if I'm a little late or a little early? It doesn't really matter. But in this case, as usual, I'm a little late. So happy New Year to everyone out there. I hope 2021 is a lot better than 2020. I really do. And I think it will be. I think all the signs are pointing in the right direction right now. So happy New Year to everybody out there. And I will see you on Monday for starting off our new season of Inside Guns with the Yankee Marshal. So until then, I just want to sign off by saying, as far as the state of the world is today, it is what it is. But what I think it's going to be in the future, especially if we all stand together and fight in the right way and do the right things for the Second Amendment and show that we are a mature, unified and confident group of people that don't give in to the fearmongers and the partisans and the political biases, etc. If we can do that and stay focused, what things will be in the future is a lot better.